Good morning, everybody. I'm doing something a little different this morning because I don't usually spend an entire morning talking about a book, but this is such an incredible book. It's called A Surgeon's Odyssey by Dr. Richard Moss, who is a head and neck surgeon. Graduated from what medical school?
IU School of Medicine.
IU School of Medicine. Good morning, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is an amazing book. This is an amazing book. You graduate from IU what year, sir?
1981.
Okay, and you have a decision to make. You have an opportunity to go out and make a lot of money, but you take another journey. In fact, let's show that journey right now on television. How many cities do you go to about, sir?
Well, we had 35 destinations, but 4 countries, mainly Thailand, Nepal, India, and Bangladesh.
Okay. Was that a tough decision to make as opposed to going into private practice?
Well, it was. It's totally unknown. We don't know what we're doing. And, I come from humble origins, as we discussed. Growing up in the Bronx, one of 5 boys raised by my mother, who was a single mom, of very limited resources. So the idea of earning money, obviously, is very appealing. But I also had this deep and abiding wanderlust and a desire to go out to the developing world. And Asia was a place I was always attracted to.
So you had no real great sense of what you were going to face. Your trip was unorganized in the sense that you just went from place to place. So you had no idea when you arrived somewhere what was going to happen.
Absolutely. I mean, it was totally unknown. It was a challenge. It was always a concern and a dilemma. But the other part of it is I traveled totally in the raw, if you will. I mean, I didn't have an organization. I didn't have the UN or the WHO or some other large organ like Doctors Without Borders or the U.S. State Department or USAID. Totally on my own, which to me was the only way to do it. And it made it a much more real experience and allow you to really immerse yourself into the culture.
But when you arrived at a place, and we'll talk about the places in the next segment, you didn't know if they had a CT scan, that you didn't know if there were nurses, you didn't know really what you were facing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Totally unexpected, and and it would vary from country to country. Some places they didn't have CAT scans. They didn't have frozen sections. The intensive care units, which many of our post-operative patients require, were extremely limited. You would never think of them as ICUs in the American sense. Many places had no chemotherapy, no radiation therapy. So all the things that we assume and expect here in the United States were missing in many of these countries.
I'm going to pick this up in the next segment, but for the average, if that's the word, medical graduate in your specialty or any specialty, you probably were going to face situations that you were not trained for.
Right. I would say there was nothing in my experience that would prepare me adequately for what I was to experience. And I knew that going into it. And it was part of the dilemma, too. I had a fellowship, I did all the training, I was board certified, sort of ready to go. But really, the things that I dealt with were above and beyond what I had experienced in my training.
Terrific. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back with Dr. Moss, hear about some of his specific experiences and how not only did he change the world, but the world changed him when we come back.